See, it's Jonathan Agger, 5th Pro Boxing Fans, joined by Johnny Nelson ahead of Azim Lipinets Saturday night. Johnny, excited for the fight?
I am. It's nice to see Adam out in action. It's nice to see the undercard of fighters getting some consistency, like Callum and Scott getting on the bill again 3 weeks later. So it's just nice, and it's a good fight for Adam because, you know, each fight recently, of his last 4 at least, you've seen improvement time after time and time again. You look at what are the ingredients to set an example for the other fighters coming around there. He's just kept his eye on the ball, and maybe he's been able to do that because he's got his dad around him, he's got a tight-knit team around him, so all he's focusing is on fighting. Well, unfortunately, what happens to a lot of fighters is the more successful they get, the more distractions are created because of the success they're getting. So therefore they're not training as hard, therefore they're turning up to an opening of a crisp packet, and so therefore it's affecting their fight game. Whereas Adam, they've kept him in that bubble to say this is what we do. I'll give you an example. You look at Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois has been that fighter where he's been in a cocoon where now all of a sudden suddenly the success is coming. Let me just see if there's a difference in 2 or 3 fights down the line with Daniel, because of the notoriety and the attention that he's got from such an amazing win against Anthony Joshua in front of 90,000 people.
What's your thoughts on all this noise around Adam Azim and Dalton Smith? Do you actually think there's truth the fight could happen, or is it just building and building and building in the background?
Well, the fight could happen, but it won't, in my opinion. I'd be surprised if it happened anytime soon. You know, I think Dalton Smith is a very talented fighter and a dangerous fight. I think, in all honesty, I think the stage he's at in his career is probably a little bit ahead of Adam, and Adam's still got a lot more growing to do, publicly at least. So if I was Dalton, I'd shout that fight out as much as possible while I can now, to get the fight the sooner the better. If I was Adam's people, I'd say ignore the noise, give it a year, you know, get a few more fights on your belt, then it'll suit us more than it's suiting him.
I briefly spoke to you the other week about the Eubank Jr. Benn rehydration clause. Speaking to Eddie the other day, he's kind of yesterday actually, he said the rehydration clause isn't a massive deal, and you know, Eubank, you know, is a 160 pounder and won't rehydrate that much. As a fighter, what would a rehydration clause affect you? How would it affect you?
So in regards to this rehydration clause, you know, negotiations for this fight were done by both sides, and so you're going to do what suits you both. So the public are going to think, oh my God, this suits Conor so much better than it does Chris. It doesn't. Don't be fooled by that, because Chris was probably in the driving seat in regards to negotiations for this fight, so he's not going to put himself in a position where it's not going to benefit him. I think it's 55-45 split, and so if we're all thinking, oh, he's going to struggle away, he probably wants somebody to think that, because he's thinking, if that's really, I make the way easy, so I'll run with that. So he's not done anything that would be detrimental to his performance in the ring. So I think people are creating a storm in the teacup in regards to the rehydration clause, only because maybe it's something to hold on to.
Well, is that the job of the promoter though, to sort of look out for their fighter? Like, because people are saying Conor should just go take the fight and let him rehydrate to whatever he wants, like what Bomac said about Crawford and Canelo. It's
about negotiation. If I offer you £100, if I offer you £50 to do this interview, where really there was £100 available, and you're saying, well, give me 55, I'm like, I can't afford to do that, I'll give you £52.50, and you say okay, and then you realise you could have got £100 if you negotiated hard enough. That's negotiation. So these guys are negotiating to well within what they actually want. That benefits them both. So trust me, I know, speaking to people inside Chris's team, you know, they've got everything they want. And I'm assuming Conor has as well.
Is it harder as a fighter to negotiate these days than when you were active?
Depends on who you are as that fighter, because if you're in a great position, in a powerful position, then no, this is what I want. If you want this fight to happen, it's going to happen. Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, you know, retired one day, the next day saying I want a bill. So does he really want a bill? Will he settle for half that? Will he settle for quarter that? We don't know, but it's about negotiation. So therefore, it was all about negotiation skills. So for fighters to do it now, if you're in a position where there's an appetite for you, you're in a great position. I'll give you another example. Liam Cameron against Ben Whittaker. Liam Cameron and Ben Whittaker. Now this fight was almost happening. It is happening. It isn't happening. And so then it comes down to negotiation. The fight isn't happening now. Now that fight there, down to negotiation. Ben doesn't need Liam, regardless of what happened last time. He doesn't need him. So who's in the stronger position? Ben's in the stronger position. And so where does Liam go? He's not going to get a bigger payday at this moment against anybody bar Ben. So Ben will think, I don't need you, man. And the example is David Haye fighting Carl Thompson. David Haye got stopped against Carl Thompson in his 10th professional fight. So people are thinking he's written off, he's done. So you'd think he'd come back and get a rematch with Carl Thompson, but he didn't. But then look at what David Haye did in his career after that. He unified the cruiserweight, went up to heavyweight. So if you can put your heart out on and then ignore the noise and the naysayers, you do what's best for you and your career.
Just lastly, I interviewed Paul Smith a month or two ago, and I know you're big into aftercare for fighters, and he was setting up a sort of cause to help fighters after their careers and stuff. How important do you think that is for fighters and after their careers? Because right now, I guess, and you can speak better about this, they don't always get the aftercare they need.
They don't get it. It doesn't exist. And what's important is we look after our own. Football does it, rugby does it. Unfortunately, because individuals profit, people are less inclined to actually do it. I spoke to the board about creating a pension for fighters that they had to adhere to. So therefore, if you were a professional fighter and when you turn professional, you had to sign to a pension. Now you can't make people stay on a pension, but you had to show you've got a pension. So 5% of your purses going towards whatever percentages go towards a pension. And if you want to get out of it, you've got to opt out of it. You've got to jump through hoops to get out of it. That means then what happens is, I know when I was with Barry Hearn made his fighters do it, and then people forget about it. Barry Hearn was kind of drummed out saying he's stealing your money and all this sort of stuff. Barry Hearn did a brilliant job in getting fighters to put money into a pension, because once you put it into a pension, I forgot about the pension I had with Barry. Then all of a sudden I'll get a big lump sum coming through when I'm 55. I'm like, shit. Now can you imagine creating something like that for fighters? It can be done. There are pension companies out there that can devise it. Unfortunately, to manage it, the British Boxing Board of Control have probably not got enough manpower to manage this. Now, so something needs to be created. A pension needs to be created where it's there, set and ready. It'll be managed by a pension company. Go to the British Boxing Board and say, if you want to turn professional, you have to have a pension signed up, and you have to, each year when you come to renew your license, we have to see that you have a pension. Now the board can do everything possible to make sure you do that, and if you opt out of it and then years down the line you're broke, you're on skid row, the board can say, we've done everything possible for you to take care of yourself. If you opted not to take care of yourself, then that's down on you. So the board is showing a responsibility to say, we're trying to help you. But unfortunately, because individuals profit, they're not going to encourage that, because you might actually be getting paid 10 grand, but your mum might be saying, here, you're only getting 5 grand. It means things have to come on board. Yeah, the real money you're getting has to be said. People are going to pretend they haven't heard this conversation or they're not interested in it, because individuals profit. And the board, if they push this and said, right, you want to renew your license every year, you've got to show us you have a pension on board. And so when you get paid 10 grand, 5 grand, whatever it is, a percentage of that goes towards your pension. and therefore that it puts promoters in line, managers in line, and fighters in line for their own good. So this can be done, but it's a case of, will it be done, or is there too many people benefiting, private individuals benefiting, for it not to happen?
I think that's a great point, and the thing Paul Smith created is called the Global Fighters Union, so hopefully that takes off. Johnny, appreciate your time. I know you've got to go get lunch, so yeah, nice one.
No problem.